Hello and welcome to Fursuiting in the Time of Quarantine. I'm your host Shetani. Before we begin, I have wanted to attend Furnal Equinox for such a long time. I was really looking forward to finally being able to experience it in person in 2021, though COVID unfortunately threw that out the window. It's especially uplifting to me to be able to contribute virtually to the con's programming this year and take part even from across the border thousands of miles away. I hope to finally get my chance to see all of you in person at a Furnal Equinox in the future. Let's start with a brief introduction. Hi, my name is Shetani, my pronouns are she, her, and my fursona is a king cheetah. I have been an active part of the furry community since 2012, though I had been following along for many years prior. I've been a fursuiter for 6 years and counting, and it's one of my most enjoyable pastimes. Let's take a look at the situation at hand. As we all know, the furry community is a vast and diverse space, and there are so many different ways that we connect with the community as well as each other. Though not at all required to take part in the furry fandom, there is a small yet vocal minority of us who enjoy fursuiting. For those of us who do have fursuits, of course, it's a great and creative way for you to have a fun pastime and express yourself. We've invested a lot of time and effort into this. Either you paid someone a great deal to make a fursuit just to your specifications, or you yourself invested all of that time, learning process, materials, and everything into creating what are essentially these works of art. Our fursonas are characters that are very near and dear to us. Fursuiting is something more than just cosplay. We're not just dressing up as a character that somebody else created. We've made these characters ourselves and grown very attached to them. And having the opportunity to embody them in the flesh, so to speak, is personally significant. Fursuiting is not just a performance. In our community, it's a social activity. We've come to rely on fursuits as an aid for socializing, networking, and having fun. Many furries have some level of social anxiety, and no matter which side of the costume you're on, fursuiting helps break the ice and embolden folks to be more confident, try new things, speak to people, and even go places they've never been. Naturally, conventions are where the bulk of these social gatherings take place, but with the current state of the world, all in-person furry cons have been put on hold for the time being. The same goes for fur meets and the like, any sort of events or gatherings, and with many places re-entering lockdown, people can't even go outside to public suit. This begs the question, what do I do with my fursuit when there are no in-person events and I can't even go outside to meet up with my friends? Now, a lot of us can't go to many conventions for a multitude of reasons, be it finances, traveling, physical limitations, getting time off of work. Perhaps there just aren't even any furry cons in your area. So I don't really go to as many cons as some of the more prolific fursuiters and personalities that you might happen to see online. For this reason, I've gotten really good at finding ways to utilize my fursuit without having to rely on an external event. Shortly after the pandemic began last year, I had noticed that a lot of my fursuiter peers online were lamenting that they didn't really know what to do with their fursuits without conventions. They were saying stuff like how they were completely at a loss, and they were just sadly looking over at their fursuit sitting in the box, waiting for the next chance to wear it again. And I thought to myself, well, what's stopping you from wearing your fursuit right now? It kind of threw me for a loop, to be completely honest, and I realized that there was a niche that I could help fill. So I decided why not share these techniques and ideas with my fellow fursuiters to help make their quarantine experience a little more bearable. So, one of the simplest and most accessible things you can do with your fursuit at home is photo shoots. The word photo shoot can be daunting. People imagine something requiring a lot of technical skill or expensive equipment. That couldn't be further from the truth. While having designated photography equipment can be helpful, of course, for a hobbyist or someone looking to have fun, it is by no means required. These days, almost everyone has a smartphone right there in your pocket. With the ubiquitousness of phones, they're almost required for modern life. And so the standard smartphone can do a lot more than folks give it credit for. Unless your phone is really old, like several years old, it's likely that it has a pretty high quality camera, definitely serviceable for taking fursuit photos. Now, every fursuit is built differently and has a different set of limitations, but there are some things that are just more difficult to do in fursuit if you don't have a handler. A handler is a second person, not wearing a fursuit, who helps out and assists a fursuiter with doing certain tasks that the costume makes more difficult. Depending on your situation, whether there are people you're sheltering in place with, whether you live alone, whether your household members are willing or not to help you out with your fursuiting, you may find yourself having to manage alone. Worry not. There are tons of tools that you can use to assist with this. Personally, I am fortunate enough to live with my partner, who is also a furry, but there are times, when she's busy and she can't help out, or maybe I have a really specific vision in my head for how I want a photo shoot to go, and it's not something that another person can visualize. Or maybe I just don't want to bother her for whatever reason, and I'd rather do it myself. Over the years, I've picked up a lot of tips for managing fursuit photography entirely on one's own. The number one tool, which for me is a lifesaver, is voice activation. You can go into the settings on your phone's camera. I have an Android phone, so on my phone it is called voice control. It might be named a different thing depending on your system. But what this is a toggle where you can say a command like smile or capture, and the phone will take a picture for you hands-free. I like to say cheese because it makes my eyes crinkle up, which is very useful for the unique type of fursuit that I have. Voice control is great for hands-free photography. If your fursuit has big unwieldy paws that are hard to get on and off, or like me, you have fursuit paws with attached arm sleeves where you can't remove your paw without entirely starting to disrobe, you'll find this extremely helpful. Honestly, I think voice activation is severely underutilized. A lot of people don't even know that their phone can do this. You can even use it to record video, not just pictures, though we'll get to that later on. For getting a full body shot or something staged, like a wider shot in front of a backdrop, you're going to want to place your camera on something. I recommend investing in a tripod for this. Again, it doesn't have to be anything expensive if that's not financially accessible for you. You can do a lot with just those little 3-leg tripods with the bendy legs. Selfie sticks are also a viable choice. They were super popular a few years back, so you've probably got an old one just lying around your house. Why not put that to good use? And of course, timers. You can set up the timer on your phone or use an external one. There are plenty of handheld gadgets you can buy online where you can pair to your phone using Bluetooth. If you press the button, it'll take the picture for you. If you have a smaller hand paw on your fursuit with more dexterity, you can use one of these pretty easily. Or I've also seen people put the remote inside of the fursuit paw itself so it's not visible in the shot. And if all else fails, you can always go for the hand behind the back pose. Again, you do not need to go out and buy a lot of stuff. This is all about fursuiting at home with what you have. So if you don't have a tripod, you can just stack up a bunch of books or boxes and put your phone on that. There's no need to buy a professional light setup when a well-angled desk lamp will do the trick. Lighting honestly does a lot for good-looking photos, and often your fursuit will look different in natural and artificial light. Play around with this. Wait until the height of the day, open your curtains, and set yourself up in front of an open window. See which one you like best. To really make your pictures pop, a little bit of editing goes a long way. Perhaps your camera isn't the best quality, or you took a picture that came out slightly blurry. Very basic editing can help clear that up. You especially see this when taking pictures with the front-facing camera on your phone. That is usually of a lower megapixel quality, and the photos you take may be more grainy or less clear. Your phone will allow you to edit your pictures right from the camera app, and of course, whatever social media apps that you may be posting on have a plethora of filters and tools that you can use for this. Even Telegram, which you probably use if you're a furry, has photo controls that let you adjust things like the saturation, the gamma, the contrast of the pictures that you're sending to make your shots look really snazzy. Now, of course, most of us don't live in a mansion or have a whole photo studio full of props and backdrops at our disposal. That's okay, this is all just for fun. You can try rearranging your furniture, use different camera orientations, and basically see what you can do with what's available. There are many online tutorials and life hack style videos that show you how to do cool and creative photo tricks with what you already have in your house. So how about some ideas for all these photos you'll be taking, huh? Well, let's start off with something simple and easy. You've got hobbies other than fursuiting, right? I should very well hope so. Why not go ahead and show those off to the world? If your persona, like mine, is basically yourself as an animal, you can set up scenes that show what you like to do. Or if your fursuit is more of a separate developed character, you can think of activities that would fit with their personality or the world that they live in. Here we have Wad, who is not only a fursuiter, but a fursuit maker, making fursuits while in fursuit. How cool is that? And Babbles the bunny is outside doing some gardening on a beautiful sunny day, the perfect environment for a bunny to be in, and something that really fits his fursuit character. Cosplaying is always popular and also a personal favorite of mine. After all, fursuiting is just another form of cosplay. We're simply dressing up as our own characters rather than ones other people have made up. And I really like combining costumes with my fursuit to blur the lines and help bridge the gap between these hobbies in people's minds. Here is a photo that I did from a shoot as Diva from Overwatch in her carbon fiber skin. As you can see, instead of simply sitting in a chair, I set up some props, video game cases, Mountain Dew, Doritos, simple things you might have lying around the house that will help flesh out this scene a bit more. As well, we have Fangorn, who is of course a Jedi Knight from Star Wars, complete with a working lightsaber and some space-related paraphernalia. Very cool and very fun. Bedroom posing is a tried and true furry favorite. Also a valid option for the itty-bitty living space people. Even if you live in a dorm or you live with other people, I'm fairly certain you would at least have a bed to call your own. Things like coordinating bed sheets or stuffed animals that match your persona's species can bring a little more character to your photos. And whether you choose to go for sleepy, cute, or even a little spicy, there's a whole gamut of moods that you can convey with these types of pictures. Working from home. Now, here's a new fursuiting scenario that actually came to be because of the pandemic. Thanks, COVID. If you're fortunate enough to be able to work from home, you can pop your fursuit on and snap some pictures showing what a typical workday is like for you. And even if this isn't the case, if you just think it would be fun or would fit your persona, you can totally set up a working from home set and do it anyway. It may sound silly for me to lay it out like this, but folks really do forget that you can just make things up for fun. I mean, look at me. I may not be a cheetah in real life, but I play one on the internet. Staging photos is totally an acceptable and viable option for any scenarios that your imagination can conjure. Playing with pets. Now, this is a great one. Here you can see Edward getting in some valuable pooch time with his furry friend Teddy, and Blue with his own beloved dog, whose appearance actually inspired the look of his own fursuit. The juxtaposition of real and costume animal gets so many reactions from people online, whether it be with dogs, cats, ferrets, rats, birds, reptiles, or even fish. If you share your home with pets, they can often make for really fun and unique co-stars for your fursuit photo shoots. Keep in mind though, animals can often react unpredictably to people in costume, so if you have never tried this before, Do take time to ensure that your pet is accustomed to your fursuit and interacting with you while you're wearing it. You do not want a traumatized or injured pet or a damaged fursuit. Cooking is another fun photo shoot idea that ties into the hobbies I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a staged photo here, but there are some fursuiters who actually can and do make food in fursuit. Buttercup is an absolutely darling fursuiter who runs a YouTube channel called Bake Me Up Buttercup, where she bakes lots of yummy treats in her fursuit and shares the recipes with her viewers. I recommend checking her channel out if you're interested, and I will also be touching on this topic again later. Slice of life. Fursuit pictures don't need to be elaborate fantasy scenes. You can just show people scenes from everyday life. This is something that doesn't require a lot of outside effort or preparation, which makes it a little bit easier for first-timers to handle. Here we've got Captain Julius, who is a cuttlefish, sitting down to have a picnic and eating sushi, which is an absolutely hilarious and creative idea that plays off the species of his fursona. Meanwhile, Ashram over here is in fursuit doing laundry, and what makes it even more unusual is that he is washing and hanging up another fursuit. Again, there's so much potential for creativity here, and just the fact that a big animal is doing it can make even the most mundane tasks memorable and engaging for your audience. As a more specific offshoot of the previous topic, show people what you've been doing while you're in quarantine. In the past couple months, I've really relished dressing down, wearing some nice comfy clothes, and relaxing with a nice big cup of tea, playing Animal Crossing on my Switch. So here I am doing just that. And finally, the tried and true selfie. No frills, no bells and whistles, just take a nice picture of yourself. Portraits like these are great for showing off different facial expressions or moods of your fursuit, as well as a really nice outfit or maybe some new accessories that you'd like to highlight if you're a partial fursuiter. Utilize what you have in your environment for these. Say you're taking pictures in front of a blank wall and you want less negative space behind you. Use a poster or a cool art piece that you have in your house. Frame yourself in front of that and make a more interesting shot. One thing I would like to highlight before we move on. This unprecedented situation can give us more opportunities to fursuit that we normally wouldn't be able to access. Many fursuiters have reservations about suiting out in public when not at a convention or another socially acceptable setting. This pandemic has forced a lot of people indoors, but on the other hand, it means that outdoor spaces are not as populated as they used to be. So for those of you who may be more shy or hesitant about suiting outside, this could be your chance to try some new things. Just for an example here, this is a photo from last year of myself during Pride Month, where I was able to walk across a painted crosswalk of what's normally a busy intersection, but which was closed down due to the pandemic. So this would have been a situation previously impossible for me to take advantage of, which I was able to go out with a photo shoot friend of mine and get some really great pictures. I have other fursuiters who reported being able to do stuff like go hiking or climb mountains with their fursuits for some really breathtaking photos. So as long as you can do it safely and make sure that you're social distancing, this can be your opportunity to try some cool and unique stuff. Please note that if you do choose to go outside for fursuiting, you must also wear a protective face mask underneath the fursuit head. No, your suit head is not an acceptable substitute for a mask. Fursuit heads are built to have the maximum possible ventilation and airflow, which is the exact opposite of what a medical mask does. Fursuit heads don't filter anything, and they will not prevent the spread of viral particles. It's not a good idea to even joke about this, because even in the context of humor, it spreads the idea, which can lead to uninformed people making some very unwise decisions. Wear a mask, people. In addition to taking pictures, you can also make videos in your fursuit. Many of the techniques and suggestions that I mentioned earlier for photography can be applied to videography too. I mentioned voice activation, for example. That can be used not only to take pictures but also to record the video hands-free. Anything about tripods or stabilizers, those will certainly go hand in hand for video recording. Editing videos in post. You don't need paid or professional level software to do this. Videos can be edited with many social media apps if you're recording a video to post on social media. Your phone itself will have a video editor that supports basic functions like cropping the screen, changing the lighting. Maybe you need to cut out a couple seconds at the beginning where you took your fursuit paw off to hit the button on the camera. You can just do that right in the video app itself. If you have a laptop, it likely has a webcam built right in. You can use that and utilize some of the editing tips that I mentioned earlier to clean up your video a little. I heard some people saying that it was difficult to find webcams online due to the pandemic. Since everyone is doing video calls, there's a higher demand. I personally didn't encounter much trouble when I was looking for mine, but then again, it was almost a year ago at this point, so things might have changed. This video is actually being recorded on a webcam. As you can see, the image quality is pretty darn good, and it was not very expensive at all. If you don't have a webcam, you can download free software to use your own phone as a webcam. There are tutorials online that will show you how to do this. It's good to keep in mind if you want to do group chats or live streaming in your fursuit, which I will talk more about later. If your videos involve you talking, you'll probably want to use an external microphone to record sound. A fursuit head, being something big that's right in front of your face and your mouth, will often muffle the voice and can make it difficult for your audience to understand you. Some people use lapel mics or little small ones that they can put inside of their fursuit head while they're talking. Or like I am doing, you can get an external microphone, whatever is within your price range, and have that on a stand fairly close to your face to record audio while you're in fursuit. Then you can sync your audio track up to the video later on. You can use free programs such as Audacity to help adjust the audio and clear up background noise or muffling that might occur due to the fursuit head. Another option, which depends on what kind of video you're doing, is to record the audio separately, either beforehand or in post, and edit that into the video itself. If you're going to make a video that requires a narration or a voiceover, this will probably be what you'd like to do. Again, don't focus too much on this. Your videos don't need to look or sound professional unless you're a professional streamer or you have a Patreon where people are literally paying you to make fursuit videos. It's just something to have fun and keep active in your fursuit during the pandemic. So you do not need to worry about being the best of the best. The most important part is that you yourself are having fun. So what are some ideas for fursuit videos that you can make? Short videos are very easy for folks to just get right into. If you have an idea for a cute little skit, maybe your fursuit character is having a bad day, maybe they're trying something new and it either goes well or it goes poorly, you can have pretty much the sky is the limit with ideas regarding these. Memes are also super popular and of course very easy to make videos about while in fursuit. Every day there's some new meme going around online. If you're looking for fun and quick things to do in your fursuit and keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on with the furry community, this is the way to go. Dance videos. Fursuit dancing is extremely popular and a huge subculture within furry in its own right. I myself choose not to dance in fursuit. I've got 2 left feet, but I have the utmost respect and admiration for those who do have the skill to dance in fursuit and want to share their talents and expression with the world. If you have even the slightest modicum of dance talent, I recommend doing dance videos in your fursuit. They're really fun and people love them. You can even do updates in your suit, talking about what's going on with your life, current events, how you're handling the pandemic, anything new and exciting that's going on. Where to post these videos you're making depends on where you're most active and what you'd like to do with them. Twitter is a big site for furries right now. I predominantly use it myself. I know firsthand it has a 2-minute and 20-second limit. You can get a lot of content into that time frame, but if you do happen to go over, what you can easily do is put a clipped preview of the video on Twitter and link to your complete upload somewhere else. Instagram is another great social media platform for short form videos. This one has a 1-minute limit on the video itself as a post. Instagram also has a feature called Stories, which are temporary posts that disappear after a day. Those only have a 15-second limit. However, if your video is longer, you can chain several of them together. Twitter has a new similar feature called Fleets, though I myself don't have access to them yet on my account and therefore have not been able to experience them. Depending on what type of content you're making, you can use either of these platforms to your advantage. TikTok is very popular, though it's not a platform I myself use, so I'm not super duper familiar with its features. I believe it has a 1-minute limit, though that might have changed. TikTok also has a very unique feature called Duets, where you can essentially make a reply video to somebody else's video. So if you see someone doing a trend and you'd like to participate, or if you want to add something onto a funny video that someone else has made, this gives you a lot of content opportunities to work with. TikTok also has an audio library of songs, dialogue clips from movies, as well as user-created audio clips that can be used in your videos, which will give you some more ideas for stuff that you can do. If you have more to say than can be crammed into just a few seconds, longer format videos expand your content possibilities. I myself run a YouTube channel where I do a series called Cheetah Chat with Shetani. I talk about different topics pertaining to the furry community that I don't really see other people talking about too much. You can check that out if you're interested at youtube.com/Shetani. Discussion videos and talking head style videos are quite popular. Almost everyone has knowledge or opinions that they'd like to share with the community. How-tos are another thing you can do. I mentioned Baking Up Buttercup earlier. She runs a baking and video recipe series, all of which being done in Fursuit, of course. If you have any other talents or hobbies, like playing a musical instrument, for instance, maybe that's a skill that you have, and you can do that in Fursuit to be more engaging. There's crafting, building, pretty much anything that you can do in your Fursuit, you can show others how to do that too. Reaction videos are a thing, doing vlogs. If you yourself aren't a very creative type, this is always an option for you. Though, your videos don't always have to be in these formats. You can make short films in your Fursuit. Perhaps your Fursuit character is one that you've established a world and a universe for. Or maybe there's a story that you'd like to be told and you choose to do that through the avenue of Fursuiting. There are even online furry film festivals that you can submit your films to, get them in front of a wider audience, and have the chances to win prizes and accolades for your work. Platforms for these include, of course, YouTube, one of the biggest and most well-known online video sites. This will get you the largest number of views if you choose to use it. It has a 15-minute limit for regular users and longer if you're verified. YouTube's popularity can be both a blessing and a curse, as you'll get a very wide audience, but you can't control what types of people will see your videos. So you may have some bleed over outside of the furry community, which can lead to harassment, trolling, and other less than desirable interaction. Vimeo is another platform for longer videos. This one does not have a length limit, so if you've got something like a feature-length Fursuit film that you've made, or you want to share a 6-hour-long video talking about why you do or don't like such and such movie in Fursuit, you can do that as well. This platform is less restrictive in regards to content matching. YouTube can be pretty militant about that, and it's well known that they'll hit you with a copyright strike for using something like 30 seconds of a song. With Vimeo, you don't have to worry about that as much, but on the downside, it does have a much smaller user base. So you may not get as much organic traffic to your videos, and you might have to do a little bit of a hustle yourself with promoting them elsewhere. Piggybacking off of that, streaming is another thing you can do in your fursuit while you're stuck at home, and you don't even need to leave your house to do it. Gaming is one of the most common streaming activities. Folks love to stream themselves playing all sorts of video games, card games, even tabletop games. It is a great way to make new friends, and money has even been raised for our charities and good causes through donation streams hosted by fursuits in our community. Art can also be streamed online. We furries love to commission art of our characters, of course, as well as watch the artists bring the masterpieces to life in real time. I have another Magpie Bones fursuit compatriot who has done some art streams while in his fursuit. And of course, being in fursuit while you create art can drive a lot of viewers to your streams. Q&As, AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, TMI Tuesdays, things where you interact with your online friends and followers and have them ask you questions to answer and drive the conversation. Those are very popular as well. Many of the platforms that I mentioned earlier support live streaming in some capacity, those including YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as platforms that are specifically set up for hosting streams, like Discord is for gaming, and Picarto, which is geared towards artists. Before we transition away from videos, I'd like to mention making GIFs. If you filmed a longer video or a short format video like those I mentioned earlier, you can clip out a little part from that and turn it into an animation that you can use elsewhere online. Here are some cute examples of things you can do. Aries is playing and cuddling with their pet kitty cat, while Mark is giving us a very cute fuzzy lion wave. If you use Telegram or social media, you'll know how popular these are for reaction images. And instead of using, for example, a Telegram sticker, having to pay for those, or use a generic one of somebody else's character, you can use your own fursuit and your own character to represent these emotions. People react great to it, and it's something more novel than just using an emoji or something like that. Public video projects are so much fun to participate with in Fursuit as well as host. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, in short, this is a creative project where many people come together to bring an idea to life. Someone has an idea for a video, they ask their friends or put out a call on social media asking for participants. Everybody gets their instructions, they make their part, send it in, and the host puts everything together into one collaborative project. Usually you see these in the form of a music video, as the concept lends itself well to the format, but of course there are unlimited things that you can do with this. If you yourself are a fursuiter looking for such videos to participate in, you can keep an eye out for submission calls on websites such as Twitter, Telegram chats, Discord servers, any popular places for furries. Look for people posting like, hey, I'm doing this project, I want fursuiters to help me out with this, and it has to be done by this date, things of that nature. If you cannot find any videos to participate in, and you have an idea that you would like to bring to life, remember that you yourself can host your own project. All you need is to just get other people to spread the word about your project, and I guarantee you other fursuiters will hear about it and want to contribute. Let's look at some examples of public fursuiter video projects that I've contributed to myself and might inspire you for things that you can do during the pandemic. Quarantine is a project where Ringer, who himself is a composer, wrote a song about their experience of being in quarantine, and for the visual, took a bunch of submitted clips from fursuiters and put it all together. Mask Up is another video project I took part in. This was a video where fursuiters were asked to take a short clip of themselves putting on a face mask or utilizing a face covering in some way with their fursuit. Topical concepts like this are very popular, of course, and with other people submitting and contributing, you've got something great that's more engaging than what you could just do sitting at home by yourself. Restel did a really cool series showcasing different fursuiters from all around the world. This was a monumental undertaking that spanned over 32 weeks and hundreds of fursuiters The videos were hosted on TikTok, but you did not have to have a TikTok account to participate. All the preparation was done on Telegram, and I haven't even counted all of the different countries and continents that ended up being represented when the video project was done. It's such an amazing showcase of all the diversity that we have in the furry community. And again, this is a prime example of the type of fursuiting that you can do and support without having to go out and travel. Infinity's chain reaction video is something that was super cool if you're looking to get a little more involved or a little more technical with. Here's some great inspiration. This was a video done by the Taiwanese furry convention Infinity. They asked participants to take a video clip of themselves not in fursuit, holding up a card to the screen, and then if they remove the card, now they're in their fursuit. And it transitioned back and forth between all the different fursuiters. This is it gives a great final project, though it is a little bit more complex to enact, being that everybody has to have a certain prop that they're using, as well as coordinating the different directions in which the participants were passing the card to each other so that it all flows together. So if you've got anything like this, I know that the transition style videos are popular on TikTok, so here are just some examples of ideas for things that you yourself can do. Group video calls are also a very engaging option. There's no reason to not do this in fursuit if you have other people that you're comfortable suiting with on camera. There are different platforms that you can use if you'd like to start hosting group video calls on your own. Zoom and Discord are very popular ones among the furry community. Skype, I actually haven't really seen anyone using, though it does offer video calling and thus bears mention, of course. Omegle is a browser-based video chat site that you do not need to download a separate client for. This is only one-on-one as well. Telegram recently announced that they'll begin supporting video calls. At the time of this recording, I do not believe this is enacted, but they plan to allow it pretty soon. These video calls can either be scheduled or impromptu. For instance, I am in a group for cheetahs on Telegram, and all the cheetahs get together every couple months or so. We do a group video call where we chat, wear our fursuits if we have them, we play trivia or online games together, and it's just a really fun time. There are many different groups that facilitate networking in this regard. If you, the viewer, are looking for fursuit group video chats that you can start taking part in right now, here are examples of 2 active fursuit video call chats on Discord, which you can join. Both of them are pretty lax. They have different start times or different schedules, so you can find something that fits well for yourself. And don't worry about having to make it to every single meeting. Another event is the Fuzzy Omegle Weekends, which is a group that took over from a previous group hosting chats of this kind last year. It's facilitated on Twitter, but takes place on the video chat website Omegle. Instead of being a group chat, this is a one-on-one thing, where you get matched up with a different fursuiter who is using the same event tags as you. It's completely random, there's no time limit, you can talk to the person for as long as you want, and you can just skip them if you'd like to move on to the next person. Let's not forget about online conventions, of course. As you can see, I am attending an online convention right now. I'm wearing a fursuit and I'm having a great time. There are many other virtual furry cons that are hosted in a live format with events that you can participate in using your webcam. These can include online fursuit parades and even fursuit meet and greets, like this one from Fursuiting Online that I took part in last autumn. Dance competitions also. There's a screenshot from last year's Anthrocon online dance competition. They took pre-recorded submissions beforehand, which is usually going to be the case if you're doing something in fursuit, though I know that some VR chat cons have done actual live dance competitions with the help of body tracking technology. Costume contests are also a thing. Here we see Temperance doing a cosplay of a Khajiit from Elder Scrolls. No, that is not a video game screenshot, that is an honest-to-goodness fursuit. and they entered that into the Cosplay Central costume competition. So don't forget to expand your horizons. Look for other types of conventions. Comic cons, anime cons, brony cons, other nerd fandom events like that. They have all started to move programming online, so you don't have to limit yourself to only furry conventions. So you've recorded a whole bunch of stuff in your fursuit. Where do you share it? Why, where the furries are, of course. And in this day and age, this means practically anywhere. Here is a whole list of many, many websites on which furries are prevalent. Though, of course, pretty much anywhere online is a great place to post the content that you're making to connect with the furry community. So, it can be hard to motivate yourself to keep fursuiting in this pandemic. We do as much as we can, but in the end, we're still isolated at home. It can take a lot out of you to go through the effort of suiting up just to take a couple pictures for your social media. A trick that helps is to try to motivate yourself to stay active by sticking to a schedule. Say, I'm going to post every Friday, or I'm going to post once a month at least. There are hashtag trends that you can follow on social media, like Fursuit Friday, where people share pictures of their fursuits on a weekly basis, and even tags tailored to people with suits from a specific maker, like Magpie Bones Monday in my case. You can go ahead and capitalize on that, use that as an excuse to make yourself get into fursuit if that helps. Look for groups that meet on a regular basis. Of course, I mentioned several earlier that you can join where people get into fursuit and interact in that regard. But of course, it's important to know your own limits and only do what you feel comfortable with. If you're not feeling it one day, it's okay to skip a day of a chat group or something. Take care of yourself first and foremost. If you're not in the right mindset to fursuit, if it starts feeling more like a chore than a fun hobby, that's when you know that you need to step it back, recollect yourself, get your health back, and regain the right mindset before you go out and start suiting again. Why even bother fursuiting in quarantine? There are a ton of great reasons. First of all, maintenance, of course. If you are putting your fursuit on and wearing it, you're going to have to maintain it afterwards. When we go long spans of time between fursuiting and the suit stays in, its box or its storage for a while, we can kind of fall by the wayside when it comes to maintaining the suit. Using the suit and then needing to take care of it, cleaning it, brushing it, that's when you're going to notice things like seams that may have popped, or anything that needs to be replaced, knots combed out from the fur. You'll need to, of course, disinfect the suit as well. Anything that you normally do to keep it in peak condition for when we can go out to see each other once again. Suiting keeps you and your character in the public eye. If you don't post a lot on social media, your friends are going to start wondering what happened to you. If your interaction with the furry community is more of a business one, say you are perhaps an artist or a fursuit maker, and your revenue and income depends on being active in the fursuit community, perhaps you've got a suit that acts more like a mascot for your business. Of course, posting like that will help keep people engaged and bring more attention in so that you can keep up that flow of income during these troubling times. Even during this pandemic situation, when we are all stuck inside, there's only so much that we can do. Human beings need social interaction. Fursuiting is an avenue for that. Even though we can't do it in person, we can still communicate with each other online and at least in part fulfill that socialization need. And of course, wearing your fursuit just makes you happy. It's something that you enjoy. It's going to make you feel better and improve your mood. During times like this, it's really important to keep up with our hobbies and interests, things that bring us joy. Remember that the most important person for you to be suiting for is yourself. Furnal Equinox had asked me to pre-record the previous segment of my panel. For the rest of my time, I'm hosting a live Q&A right now in the Furnal Equinox Discord. If you've got any questions, comments, or feedback on the information that I presented here today, I invite everyone watching right now live to jump into the Discord channel to chat with me and I'll answer any questions that you may have. This has been Fursuiting in the time of quarantine. I hope you learned a little bit something today. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, my Twitter is @ShetaniCheetah. I am also on Instagram under the same name, and my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Shetani. A recording of this video will be up on my aforementioned YouTube channel in the coming weeks, with the audience Q&A segment added in, so that you can rewatch at your leisure and also share the panel with people who may not have been able to watch the broadcast here at the convention. If you'd like to learn more about who I am, what I do, my fursuit, and all that good stuff, I have a homepage that you can check out. And if you enjoyed the panel I put on today and would like to show your appreciation, I do have a Ko-fi page set up at ko-fi.com/Shetani for donations, and you can spot me a cup of tea or two. I will be moving over to the Discord chat now to answer everyone's questions. Thank you again so much for watching. Have fun, stay safe, and keep on suiting. Hello, panel people. I hope everybody can hear me. Alrighty. I see folks filing into the panel room. Thank you all so much for coming to my panel. I'm going to be going back through the text chat at this point to answer folks' questions. Okay, so right off the bat, a few of the questions had to do with links to groups or servers that I mentioned earlier. I attempted to post the links in the Discord chat, but I got a warning for that. I guess you can just PM me if you want links to the Discord groups that I mentioned, and I will send you invites to those groups. The Omegle group is on Twitter. Their username on Twitter is @FuzzyOWeekends. You can go on that page and learn more about the tags that you would have to put into Omegle to join that group, because I believe they changed them for 2021. So you're just going to want to check there to know what the most recent tags are. Yeah, unfortunately, what happened was the person running the previous group stepped down, and at that point, due to what was going on. So this is actually a new group that is running the weekend Omegle nights, which is why the name is different. So with the changeover, you lose a lot of people who missed the memo, so to speak. So yeah, it's taking a while to pick back up, but I've noticed that there's been a lot more participation more recently, so that's great for folks who would like to participate in those sorts of things in their fursuits. Off the top of my head, questions that I sometimes get asked when I do these panels at different conventions. A lot of folks want to know about my fursuit. This is not a fursuit that I made myself. My fursuit maker is called Magpie Bones, if you would like to look their work up online. Yes, these are my real eyes that you see blinking in the fursuit, and yes, this is also my real hair as well. There were several factors that went into me choosing a fursuit of this nature, but basically it boils down to features that I needed based on my own physical limitations in order to fursuit safely and comfortably, plus the fact that I wanted to incorporate a lot of my own physical features into my fursona and into my character. So I had done quite a bit of research when it came time for me to get a fursuit, and found a maker who would be able to essentially bring that to life. And it's great. I am, 100% happy with it. In general, I recommend, if you are looking into getting a fursuit, to do a lot of research. No one can really say what the best choice for you is other than yourself. People have many different reasons that they want a fursuit. People will like a certain visual style over another. It's a good idea to look at what's available out there. And of course, fursuits are a more personalized thing. So the only person best able to answer the question of who should I get my fursuit from is yourself. Pretend you're doing, a report and you need to do research first to get that knowledge. So yeah, just looking online and looking at different fursuit makers. Yeah, absolutely. No one needs a suit or should feel like they deserve it more than people who have them. I very briefly touched on this during the panel, but fursuiters are the minority in the furry community. From the outside looking in, it may not seem that way, but that only has to do with the way that the media chooses to sensationalize and portray the furry community. If you're doing a primetime news piece, a video clip of a bunch of weirdos in rainbow animal costumes is going to be more attention grabbing than just a video of a bunch of normal people standing around in t-shirts and jeans. But there have been studies shown that the percentage of folks in the furry community who own fursuits is actually about 20% or less. It's our form of cosplaying. If you were talking to your boss and he said he liked Batman, you wouldn't assume that that also means that he has a Batman costume in his closet and he dresses up like Batman on the weekends, I don't know why people put more of an emphasis on the costuming aspect when it comes to furries than any other hobby or, nerd interest sort of thing. But it is the way it is. And, as we can see just here from Furnal Equinox this weekend, you 100% do not need a fursuit to participate in any sort of furry community activities. Just, text chatting with other furries, interacting with people on social media, like here in the Discord, and VR chat has become a huge thing. Oh my god. So there are a ton of different ways that you can interact with other furries. There's no one right or wrong way to be a furry, and having a fursuit is most certainly not a requirement for that. Vimeo, thank you for that question. Vimeo is the name of the website that does not have a video length limit on their links. Question: what do you think of younger furries, as I am one myself? I feel like they have a bad reputation, and a lot of older furs can be kind of angry at them if they don't have a fursuit, and a younger fur does. So there are quite a few reasons, but I personally choose not to interact with the younger furry community too much. I feel like the online experience contemporarily is much, much different than the online experience when I was growing up and becoming aware of the furry community. There isn't really a better way to put it than people are really online these days. And it starts at a younger age. Like, when I was growing up, we were always told to, don't talk to strangers on the internet, never put your personal information on the internet. And nowadays you see young folks and teenagers who, they make accounts with their real name, they put their real picture on there, they tell you what city they live in, and, all the different sort of the things, the shows and stuff that they're into. And, a person with not so positive interests could very easily take that information and do, harmful stuff with it. So I kind of wish that there was a better separation between the younger and older groups within the furry community, because it keeps both parties much safer and happier to do that. In the previous years, where furry activity was more based to forums, you would have to, be of a certain age to sign up for those. So that kind of helped. There would be forums just for younger people and forums for older people. As a kid, I really liked Redwall, if you've heard of the Redwall books. And I used to go online and I used to role play and make characters with other kids my own age who were also on a Redwall forum. And we made Redwall OCs and we role played together and stuff like that. There weren't really any adults there. It was all just kind of kids moderating their own stuff. And these days, unfortunately, with the way that the internet has developed, there is no longer that separation. People just kind of squish everyone together because that's the most efficient way for the mass corporations to, get people's data and market to people. So, I really wish like there was a better separation in that regard. It's also at furry conventions, that's a big thing too. A lot of furry cons have great moderation. They'll have 18 plus sections or 18 plus events where, for the mature stuff, and they prevent younger people from getting in and seeing that stuff that they're not supposed to be able to have access to. I know that across the pond, most furry conventions in general are 21 plus. Anyone under 18 is not allowed to go to those, which I would love to see, honestly, happening more in the United States as well. Because just to give more of an option to folks out there who would prefer to interact with certain subsets of the furry community. And also that goes for the other side of the coin too. Camp Tiny Paws is a con that I know of. They are, I want to say, if not in Delaware, but that general vicinity. It's either Delaware or Connecticut. My apologies, I can't remember right now. But that con is really geared towards minors because a lot of the folks who run the con have kids of their own. So that's a great con for folks to go to, maybe younger folks who might be trying to convince their parents or their family of, what the furry community is. That's a great con for the younger folks. It would be nice to have more cons for the older folks as well, for people who would just prefer not to interact with that subset of the community. We got another question here. I got my fursuit in mid-October 2020. At the moment, the Netherlands went into a very strict lockdown. I've never had the chance to use my suit for anything and feel overwhelmed with all the things I could do at home. What would you recommend is a good start for a new suitor to also get experience, which would be useful for the future when I get the chance at fursuiting for the first time at events? That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking. So the most important thing for you to do right now is to just be wearing your fursuit and getting used to the feel of it. I'm not sure how much wearing of your fursuit you've done so far, but every fursuit is built differently. They will have different blind spots, different range of motion and stuff like that. So number one step is to get used to your own fursuit. Things like how long you can wear it without having to take a break. Things like how hot you start feeling in the suit. Once you get a feel for that, now you can start thinking more about what you would like to do in your fursuit. Having a character for your fursona or your fursuit character helps out a lot in that aspect. If it's just, my fursona is basically just me as a cheetah, so I don't really have to act too differently when I am in my fursuit. Other people have a fursuit that's like a separate character. So, think more about your character, how they would react. Are you going to speak or not speak when you're in fursuit? Are you going to make little cute sounds? How are you going to communicate with the people that you're interacting with at a convention? Are you just going to be speaking to them, or will you do more of like a pantomime thing? You can also, it helps a lot to practice in front of a mirror. So put your fursuit on, get in front of the mirror, see what you look like. If it's hard for you to see yourself in the mirror in fursuit, because of the fursuit eyes, you can also video record yourself and then look back at the video later. Start practicing different motions or ways that you will move in your fursuit. Some suits have a big tail that if you move your hips, it'll swish back and forth. Some fursuits have like big floppy ears or wings, and you will have to move your body in a different way to get that realistic motion going down. So just, get like a feel for those kinds of things, and you'll find that the puzzle pieces start falling into place. And then that'll give you a better idea of the stuff that you want to do with your suit. Taking photos at home, taking selfies at home is probably one of the easiest ways to start getting into it. A still picture is a lot easier than video. You have a great deal of control over the picture. You're setting it up and taking the photo yourself, and then afterwards you can edit and crop that picture to have it be like exactly to your vision. And then, posting online, interacting with other furries online, that will sort of ingratiate you more into the community. You'll start making friends. Like, you've joined Furnal Equinox. That is a great step towards, putting yourself out there and getting involved in the furry community. The FE Discord has a Fursuit share chat. It has a Fursuit share channel, so you can go in there and post any pictures of your fursuit that you may have taken. Also, looking at what other people have posted, that can give you inspiration as well. Yeah, there was a little bit of a talk about fursuit makers and children or minors. There are, unfortunately, several reasons why many fursuit makers will not make suits for kids. Number one reason is that a kid is not done growing. So if you spend a couple $1,000s on a suit and then a year later you're not able to wear it anymore, that's kind of a loss of your investment. Another aspect is that, very unfortunately and very sadly, there is a sizable issue with minors stealing their parents' credit cards or their PayPal or bank account information and purchasing stuff online that they do not have access to, and then doing a chargeback, essentially scamming fursuit makers and, furry artists out of their hard work, which has happened so many times that now pretty much any fursuit maker you come across will just straight up say, I do not do business with minors. You have to be over 18 to commission me. This is for my own protection. This does not mean, of course, that fursuiting is inaccessible to people who are under 18. The best thing and the thing that makes me the absolute happiest is that most of the up-and-coming fursuit makers that I see are young folks. They're people who cannot buy a fursuit, so instead what they do is they go out and they learn how to make a fursuit themselves. And that is absolutely awesome. The dino mask trend is a really big thing right now. There are these, if you're not familiar, there are these plastic masks that I believe were just supposed to be for the Jurassic World movie, but a lot of folks realize that those are actually a pretty good base for a fursuit head. It's cheaper than a resin blank, and they're easy to customize, paint, and add fur to. So a lot of people are getting into those. A while back, there were these things called Maskimals, which were kind of just a big animal head thing, but they were being sold at big box stores such as, I believe, Target or Walmart. So they were really easy for younger folks or maybe folks with a lesser budget to get their hands on and just sort of kind of get their foot in the door. Another thing that I come across quite a bit is the fact that fursuiting is not for everybody. Some folks just, can't get into it. And the fact that fursuits are so expensive, be that in monetary cost or time and labor cost, it's kind of a stumbling block where it's something that you don't know if you will enjoy it or not, but it is not something that you can just go out and try. So, one thing that I advise is, if you are interested in possibly getting a fursuit, to try cosplaying first. A lot of the fundamental tenets of fursuiting are very, very similar with cosplays. You have to get a costume. Either you make that or buy it. You have to learn how to properly maintain your costume, whatever that may be. You're going to have to put it on. You're going to have to get used to moving around while wearing it, the physical limitations that come with that. Well, this was more for when conventions were a thing, but if you're cosplaying at a convention, learning how you yourself will react to getting attention from outside people and whether or not that is something that you're comfortable with. Cosplays, of course, are, much more accessible than fursuits. It can be very, very simple or very complex, up to you. But that's something that I recommend for folks who may or may not be interested in getting a fursuit, to try cosplaying first, see if you like that, and then that will give you a better grasp on whether or not fursuiting may be right for you. Another question, when making your first fursuit and only have a small budget, is it okay if you go for cheap materials? I have never made a fursuit, so I don't have firsthand experience with this. However, I've been in the furry community for quite a long time, and, just from being here, I kind of pick up some knowledge through osmosis. Going for cheap materials if you're starting out, if you do that with the knowledge that the product you create may not be of the best quality, using cheap materials for your first fursuit is great to just get in that physical practice and just kind of, learning the basics. Before I got this fursuit, I wanted to see if I could try making it myself. So I went to my local Joann's. I found some, very cheap fur, and I tried making a pair of cheetah ears and a tail. That was a very good learning experience for me. What I learned was that I'm not good at making fursuits, and I don't want to try it anymore. But, I am kind of being serious in that regard. It's something that you'll never learn until you try. If you're just making a fursuit for yourself, you can kind of use whatever you want as long as it is not something that will be harmful. If you are hoping to go into fursuit making as a business, obviously you want to make sure that you're using the best quality materials as possible for your customers. Though, as somebody starting out and just making like a suit for themselves, that shouldn't really be an issue. Nasi, thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you. I really appreciate it. Love the panel, great feedback. Thank you. That it lets me know that I'm doing stuff right. Another thing I can talk about, some of the questions that I get frequently when I have hosted this panel at other cons in the past is whether I will continue to host when conventions come back to physical events. At that point, I would hope that a panel about fursuiting in quarantine is no longer necessary. People had requested that of me so frequently that I was thinking about perhaps adapting it slightly to more of fursuiting in between conventions or fursuiting at home. Because, a lot of the fundamentals that I discussed can really be used in other aspects as well. And, not just fursuiting, but cosplaying or, I don't really know. See, I'm not in the LARPing community. I don't know if LARP folks do the sort of thing where they take pictures in their LARP outfits and role play online in between LARP events. I would hope that would be a thing. That'd sound pretty cool. But yeah, when we get back to physical conventions, I may or may not host this panel. Another big thing to consider is that at physical conventions, the demand for panel space is much higher than at online conventions. There are only so many hours in a day and so many people trying to get their panel on the schedule. So you run into an issue quite a bit where your panel doesn't get picked. I did myself experience that a few times at physical conventions before we started going into the pandemic. So it's also a matter of whether or not whoever is on staff at the convention believes that my panel would be something beneficial to the audience. So there's also that to consider, but as long as folks would like to see my panel at physical conventions, I will definitely consider doing that when they start becoming a thing again. Yeah, social media aspects. I tried to touch on hashtags and stuff like that. That'll definitely, I'll probably have to cut out a whole part of that if I adapt the panel for physical events. The kind of equipment you'll want in your own home too. Yeah, that's something that I would also need to do more research on. And yeah, how to connect with other suitors from home. We are learning more and more that there is a demand for this kind of thing. The virtual conventions I found have been amazing. It's great how much of the physical con atmosphere and energy you can actually capture in an online event. When I tried it for the first time, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and it was really cool how it really just kind of, the community is what makes the conventions so special. I do greatly hope that even after the pandemic lifts and we are back to in-person events, some furry conventions continue to have, if not fully virtual, at least like hybrid programming, which incorporates online aspects in addition to the physical convention for folks who cannot physically be there to participate. This situation has proven that we do, in fact, have the technology and the capability to do so. There are folks that we must consider in our community who can't travel for a multitude of reasons, disability, financial situations, and being able to attend virtual conventions is a great boon in connecting them with the community at large. Plus you can just try more and better things than you would if you were limited to where you yourself can physically take your body and go. VR chat, I am blown away by how big of a thing that has become, and how the advancements that are coming so quickly and so rapidly in that aspect. Not only VR chat, a lot of my friends use something called Neos VR, which seems even cooler than VR chat because you, the player, can actually do more to build your own worlds and characters and stuff like that. So it would be great to see more furry conventions in the future implementing those. We've already got the technology in place for the virtual events that we've done in 2020 and 2021. It probably wouldn't take much more effort to continue those, at least in part, for conventions when they continue to have physical aspects. I greatly appreciate everybody who came to the panel and watched it and participated in the chat. I will edit this video Q&A portion into the end of my recorded panel, and I will have that up on my YouTube channel, hopefully in the next couple days. That is going to be youtube.com/Shetani. The link is right up there above my head, or it should be. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming. If you want to see the panel in the future, let me know of any furry conventions, virtual cons that are going on that you would like to see me present at. I'm gonna wrap it up now. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a great day. Be safe, have fun, and enjoy the rest of virtual Furnal Equinox.